Good morning, guys. Hope you're doing well. Today I want to talk about how to deal with imposter syndrome and 6 strategies that I have for dealing with it. The other day, for some context, I was talking to a friend of mine who just got promoted to a managerial position. And in summation, here's kind of the situation. I started working at the startup at 22. We've done decently well, and since I was a part of the team in the early years, I'm now being promoted to a managerial level at 25, i.e., I'm being tasked with hiring a team of 10 people for my department and will be in charge of managing them. I'm excited for the challenge and the career development opportunity, but I feel a ton of imposter syndrome. I feel like I'm not ready for this job or ready for the responsibility, and I'm feeling extremely self-conscious and just anxious about the pressure of the increased role. So, this is a great question. And as I go into my strategies, I just want to acknowledge it's very fair for you to feel this way. But the first piece of advice that I would give is acknowledge your value, right? Objectively acknowledge what you bring to the table. And this is obviously tough because it may mean you have to brag about yourself or things of that nature. But, if you do take a step back, you have to acknowledge, the CEO / the founding team has confidence in you that you can handle this position. If they wanted to, they had the ability to go out and hire an experienced manager from outside the company to do the job, but they chose you. So, I think objectively think about the positives and why you might be meant for this. You bring 3 years of expertise working in your department for the company and know how things should be done. You also have a great understanding of the company's culture from your 3 years and working with the founding team. Those are 2 great assets that an outside manager wouldn't have. I think the second thing, the person here doesn't talk about this, but I think they're, self-conscious about age. And I think at certain points, you just have to kind of forget about your age. You might think I'm only 25, I can't be a manager of a 10-person team. Why not? Why couldn't you? You're just letting your age be a factor, but what does age have to do with anything? It's about having the relevant experience, and the attitude that you have, in trying to get it done. And I think, my friend that wrote this to me has those 2 things. Obviously, in general, managers tend to be older, but every situation's different. A startup is a different environment than a Fortune 500 company. So there are going to be different rules. The third thing I would say is understand everyone deals with imposter syndrome. Everyone begins as a beginner. The CEOs that you see today were at one time in their career a first-time manager. They didn't, graduate from college and then become a CEO. Even the greatest athletes of all time, take Tom Brady. He had to once learn how to grip a football. He wasn't the Tom Brady that we see him as today when he first started playing football. I think whether people want to admit it or not, or how much imposter syndrome affects them, we all deal with it. We all deal with the insecurity of, do we deserve this or do we belong where we are? And just understand that that's human nature. The fourth thing I would do is write down your insecurities and determine what's actually the truth and what's just, either irrational insecurity or natural nervousness. I think there's an important difference in all of those. So, for example, like if you say, I don't think I'm ready because I don't have any managerial experience. This to me is, obviously natural nervousness. Um, you know, the um, your experience level is something you can't control, and that is certainly a true statement. However, um, objectively, you can gain that skill of managerial experience on the job through learning and managing. And in a year, you'll be in a lot different of a place than you are today. Um, you might say, I don't think I'll do a good job because I don't have any managerial experience. Well, again, the second part is true, objectively, factually. The first part, I think, is just an irrational insecurity. Um, only through experience will we know how you do. Um, we can have our predictions or whatever, but um, I can also predict you'll do good. It's only through the experience. Don't try to dictate the experience before it's happened. Experience it and then reflect. Um, so again, I wouldn't. I think this is in that category of irrational insecurity, um, and you kind of just acknowledge it for what it is. The fifth thing, and I guess it's more pertinent to this example. Obviously, this isn't what you would do in every case, but ask your boss, what does success look like? What does failure look like? Um, you know, Obviously, I don't want to give away um, the department that my friend works in just for their anonymity, but just in business, like a marketing department success is different than a finance department success. So, what is it that is success in your department? And what are the things your boss is looking for you to do, to get done? What is a good job? What are the performance indicators that they're looking at? How are they going to be measured? Those are important questions. Um, and a lot of the imposter syndrome is probably happening because you're afraid of failure. And so then ask your boss, what is failure? What would need to happen to make you decide, we need to let that person go? Once you have that knowledge, you can then use that as a mechanism to be like, all right, I need to be on the lookout for this and this so that, this effect doesn't happen, which is what my boss wants us to avoid. And then finally, I would say use the resources around you to help you. And, whether that's reading books, articles, human history is a long time. There's been a lot of years before us, so there's probably been a similar situation in history to what you're facing. Write down notes from, those stories and learn from them. And even like obviously, get advice from people that have been in similar positions if that's possible. Like, for my friend to connect with people that were once young managers in their 20s. Listen to them, understand what they have to say, their stories, and their learning lessons, and use their wisdom and apply it to your situation. So yeah, those are I think imposter syndrome is something people deal with for the rest of their life, both personally and professionally. I think, hopefully these six strategies can help. Let me know how you think about them. Feel free to comment. And just let me know if it helped or if it didn't. If you have a follow-up question, just let me know. Thank you guys for watching.